for people to bring their laptops because I really wanted to make it interactive, particularly in the LinkedIn session, because I was going to get people to go onto LinkedIn and pull up their page and do some practical tips.
So Jeanette, we're live on Facebook. How are you?
Oh, good.
So g'day everyone, it's Wesley here from Business Blessings, and what a great privilege to be joined by Jeanette Cheung today. Jeanette, welcome to your very first Facebook Live.
I know, how exciting. I love Facebook.
I know, so I'm very surprised that you haven't done a Facebook Live before, so it's really good. See, Jeanette, I wanted to connect with you because we're kind of co-hosting an event this Friday, and a lot of people have actually received an invitation to that. But let's start off by saying, hey, tell me a bit about yourself and your background and your passions, because you've got a lot of passions.
Yes, hence why I call myself a serial multitasker. Okay, so my DNA is a chartered accountant. That's my foundation, and I'm really proud of that designation, because that gives me gives me my problem solving skills, and that allows me to connect with people and help people. But I've got a lot of passions. I love fashion, so I've got a fashion iteration called Sassy Woman. I sell things on Marketplace for other people, and I love doing that because I like doing the copywriting and actually closing little sales all the time. And then when I left my corporate job last year, I've been in business development for about 20 years or more, and I'm a chartered accountant of 30 years of experience. And I thought, what can I do to combine that experience into something that could help other people? And what I figured out was that a lot of businesses, no matter how much their turnover is, they may not be able to hire a full-time business development person at the moment because of COVID, and they don't know where their sales are coming from, revenue might be down or up or whatever. So I thought, why not create a course that lays a foundation for people to do business develop themselves, or find someone who can actually meet those things and help them do it.
See, Jeanette, the whole business development area is so key for business, because without it, people aren't growing their business. They're not making new connections. But it's an area that people find very scary to do. And then, like, I was reflecting back the first time we met, we were holding a networking event at our house, and you turned up, and I thought the fact that you are out there, willing to put yourself out there, go to networking groups or go to meetings where you don't know anyone, but hey, I need to get out there and meet new people. And you're not afraid to do that, but you've had to learn to do that over the years, haven't you? It hasn't come naturally to you.
Well, I moved up from Sydney in 2008 and knew 2 people in Brisbane. So with Aussie Home Loans as a regional sales manager, and 2008 was the GFC. And then I got made redundant in November. And so in the time that I've been here in Brisbane, I've lost my job about 5 or 6 times. But each time God has built my connections and connected me with more people. And then I just had to and I actually joined LinkedIn and Facebook at the same time in 2009. And that's just how I've done it. I've just gone out to different events, and not because I thought, well, I'm in a new city. I don't know anyone. So I actually have to meet people, and I actually have to socialize and get things done. So that's what I did. I just put myself out there. That might be my father's background coming out.
But it's something that you learn. Like, people think I'm a natural extrovert, but I'm actually not. I'm an introvert.
Yes, I knew that.
So I would rather stay at home and be by myself. But I can't do that. And when you're in business, you can't do that. You actually need to learn how to step out to do that. But it is a learned thing. You can learn to do this.
Well, that's true. So I remember when I did my first business development role, untried, no cold calling, knocking on doors, whatever. I was working for a mortgage manager in Sydney, and this older guy put me under his wing, and he just took me out And we knocked on doors and cold called people. And that's how I started. And then all of a sudden, that was like 20 something years ago. That's how fledgling I was. And so my skills in BD have been built over 20 years. But then when I came to Brisbane in 2008, so I've now been here like 13 years, I've had to, oh, thank goodness Brisbane's a much smaller city, but I've had to go out to different events, and I'm the only one that I know that I've gone to rooms full of strangers and not known anybody. and you know, and then I've learnt to exit groups or know how to be polite. And I think in my module on networking, I just say people can tell when you're fake. So the key is to be authentic. But when I say I network, it's because I'm genuinely interested in people, and I'm genuinely interested in meeting someone, and I'm there to connect. But also, if I can help them connect, if I can connect them to someone else in my circle of influence, then that makes me really happy, rather than am I getting a sale from doing this networking event or whatever.
So, Jeanette, you said something very key here. You were taught by somebody else, and now you help others learn this as well. And you're willing, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're putting on this business development velocity training event on Friday, is because you want to now share that information with others and help them to grow and develop, because you know that unless they do that, they're going to stagnate and not going to be able to grow their business. But it's also about helping them to grow and develop personally as well. That's
right. And I've worked out that even business people who have been in business for a longer time still don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
And I went, there's a gap here. So then I thought, well, and that's part of the reason why I decided on look, I've got more topics that I can write on at the moment, definitely. And I haven't written an article. I've got an article in my head at the moment. How to get free stuff. Lessons, the heading is how to get free stuff. Lessons, client customer loyalty lessons that you can learn from Coles and Telstra.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that article soon. But no, because I got free stuff from Telstra and Coles, just by being a loyal customer. So I wanted to write it and put it into at least 4, I thought, essential modules that you really need in your kit bag, if I can put it like that, in your kit bag to actually pull out when you need to grow a business. Look, the bottom line is everybody is in sales, regardless of whether you're a person on the self-service checkout at Coles, or the service station attendant, or a waitress or a waiter at a restaurant, or just a coffee shop cart person. Everybody's in sales, because if people don't come and buy from you, you're not making any money or surviving, that sort of thing.
That's right. Nothing happens in business until something's sold. And
correct.
It sounds really simple, but actually a number of people don't actually get that. That getting your sales right is so key. Jeanette, let's go through and look at the 4 modules that you're going to go through and the 4 modules that you want to teach others on. So the first one is creating a business development framework, because it's really important to actually have a framework or a strategy, if you like, for when you're doing your business development. Let's have a chat about that.
Yes. So in that module, I actually focus on the 7 key elements for a winning business plan, a business development plan. And I go through the 7 steps that you need to have in terms of doing that. And then I also talk about sales and the sales program and the process that you need to have. I talk about buyer personas. There are different personalities, and when you encounter someone, you need to recognize what sort of personality they are, so that you can actually sell in the right, or connect, in the right way to build the relationship. And then I've also got a one-page marketing plan that will be a free resource that I can give to people that will help them create a one-page marketing plan. So there's a lot of tools that are embedded in each of the different modules as well. So yes, the business development framework is the foundation where I cover business development plan, sales, and marketing all in the one module.
So that's fantastic. From there, we move on, and you're going to look at your optimizing your LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn is so key today for professionals and for anyone, actually.
Yes. Now, some people think that they don't need to be on LinkedIn, but and I've been on LinkedIn since 2009. Last year, I changed my profile about 20 times, and then I also, which I'm going to hand out on Friday. I Google a lot, so I've pulled off the 20 most influential people on LinkedIn for 2020. LinkedIn in Australia. So LinkedIn publish a list worldwide and also publish a list in Australia. And the people that are in the top 20 for last year include a fire commissioner in New South Wales in the bushfires, a school principal, a guy who owns a fruit shop. Can you believe that? It was just eye-opening. So not just business people or traditional service businesses or consultants, but all sorts of people. There's another person on my LinkedIn who is a sculpture teacher, and she posts on a regular basis her students' work on LinkedIn. So it's just amazing. So, and the number of times people don't have photos, don't have their mobile number and the email address. Oh, anyway, don't get me started.
Well, so this is one of the things, is Jeanette, that you have learned some very key things to be successful in these areas, and you want to be able to teach others. And so you found out what all those flaws are and say, hey, this is what you need to be doing, which is fantastic.
And Wes, I sent out 300 private messages to 300 of my contacts, publicizing my course and asking them and telling them I'm launching on Friday, right?
So really, that's about you're building on a platform that you built over many years. And this is one of the things that people need to understand, is it takes time to build these things, but there are some key strategies that you need to have in place to do that as well.
And then also the other thing is, even though I'd sent 300 and not everybody's going to attend, right? It means that people look at your profile again,
yes,
and refresh themselves with who you are and what you've done. So that also brings up your ranking in LinkedIn as well, just by me sending private messages.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So one of the next things that I'm actually looking forward to, because I'm not very good about doing this, is call to connect, being fearless on the phone. And Jeanette, out of all the people that I know, you're not afraid to pick up the phone and phone someone and cold call them.
No, and I'm actually doing that for about 3 or 4 different people at the moment, different things. So, so I tend to say the same thing, but I adapt it for the business I'm working with. And what I normally say, and look, at the end of the day, practice makes perfect, and you can do as much role play as you want, but it ain't going to cut it until you pick up the phone. And then might have a couple of goes at the different scripting for the business until you settle on the right script that actually connects with the person. So the key when they're making a phone call is to not be seen as a pesky salesperson, even though you are a pesky salesperson. So you've actually got to create maybe 1 or 2 sentences to actually start the conversation and to get the other person to talk about themselves first. And that's the key.
Yes. Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to that one too. And I know with a lot of my students, like they're using this thing all the time, but they're texting on it, and they forget that actually one of its main purposes is actually to phone people and talk to people, which is very key.
Well, I said when I recorded myself, obviously practicing my thing, but when I was talking about them, when I was practicing my 3rd module, look, we've all been at the other end of a long email trail backwards and forwards. How frustrating is that? When all you can do is just to actually shortcut the problem, is just to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
To solve the issue instead of going backwards and forwards by email, which just takes a lot longer, don't you agree? Because you can't say everything.
And I keep forgetting to do that. Look, I know it's much easier to send a text or send an email, but stuff gets all mixed up. And it's so good just to pick up the phone and connect with people, and you can get it resolved a lot quicker in doing that as well. Okay, so the last one is business networking for profit, because a lot of people go to networking events and they don't get anything out of it, but you have a strategy behind networking.
So the key, which is what I mentioned earlier, is to be authentic and to be genuinely interested in the person that you're speaking to at the event. And also, whilst that person may not be your target client, the key is you never know, because people have circles of influence and all that sort of thing. So I always take business cards, but also if you don't have a business card, I'll teach you this trick in LinkedIn where you can use the QR code. But the key is, as I said, be authentic, be genuinely interested in people, and be genuinely interested in helping the other person. So it may not be that they might be the right person as a client for your business, but by connecting with them, you may be able to refer them on to someone else in your business connections, and then you've helped to other people by doing that. And then I believe in the law of reciprocity, that if you do that, then hopefully people will remember and then refer you someone else at the same time. But you still have to be proactive and still remind people of what you do. So you've got to create an elevator pitch that actually says who you are and reflects you as a business person, and also not say too much, because you're there to have a conversation with another person at a networking event to find out what they're doing, as opposed to telling people about yourself. That's the key.
See, Jeanette, there's a theme that's coming through, is you actually need to be interested in other people and you want to authentically build relationship with them, and they build relationship with you as well.
Yes. Yep.
There's something that intrigues me. You've got on for module 4, introducing is it the Kintesh Network?
Kintesh. Yes. So I found that on Google, but I actually, they're the steps that I use all the time in my networking, since I've been in Brisbane all this time, in 20 years of networking. So I didn't have a name for it, but the steps that I put into that are the steps that I follow. I've built those up myself, but so I could call it the Cheung networking method, really, couldn't I? But I found this article because at the end of the day, there are lots of things that you can find or create as a result. So what I've done in each of my modules, I've pulled information from all sorts of sources. My LinkedIn one, I've pulled in key facts, and then like in Friday, for example, or the session, I've pulled off the list of the top 20 LinkedIn influencers for 2020, you see. So I'm genuinely wanting to know the fact that, you've got a guy, a fire chief and a school principal in the top 20 is inspiring, I think.
It really just shows you that, and I'm going to use that anyone can do this stuff, but it's about learning it, putting it into practice, and then doing it again and again and again, and taking that time to build the relationships.
Yep. And I was going to say, I wouldn't call myself a Facebook or Instagram master, but I've been doing a lot more on that as well. But there are strategies that I've learnt on Facebook and Instagram that I've just learnt by observing other people on Facebook as well. Like I follow this seafood place in Mount Gravatt. Neil just posts Facebook videos on seafood in his window And honestly, the number of sales he gets just by doing the video on his seafood or his scallop pies, is amazing. And I've discovered restaurants and other businesses that I would not have encountered if it weren't for Facebook, right?
And it just shows you that observing what others are doing and seeing what's right is actually a key strategy. Doing that and then applying it. So it's good. Okay, so Jeanette, we're doing a special offer for this Friday. It's actually a free event because it's the first one that you've put on, and it'll be the only time that you'll be doing a free event for this one. In doing that, so we don't have too many spaces left, but we'll put a link to it down the bottom. How can people connect with you otherwise, Jeanette? Because you're quite out there.
Well, they can connect with me on LinkedIn, definitely. They'll find me on LinkedIn, definitely. They'll find me on Facebook, and I'm very careful about what I post on Facebook. And then I've got, so my Facebook business page is Biz Connections. My LinkedIn is, I've just Google Jeanette Cheung, and then my LinkedIn profile comes up in the feed. That's most of the time, unless you have a common name, like Mike Smith, and then you'll have lots of Mike Smiths. But so yeah, they can email me or connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, definitely. So that's definitely the key. Or ring me. Ring me is cool.
You're always up for a chat, Jeanette. Whenever I phone, you're always up.
Yeah,
it's good.
I try and keep it short.
Yes.
But being a serial outbound call specialist, because that's one of my skill sets. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you want to make sure that you have, and you want to try and keep a phone call to about 5 minutes if you're making outbound calls. You don't want to call and hang up within 2 minutes, because that's not how it works. Because remember, you're building a relationship on the phone. So you actually have to speak to the person and actually get them to talk about themselves. And then that's the number one tip I could say, because that relaxes them, I think, if they start to talk about themselves. I mean, last year I was ringing senior executives, and I would, on behalf of a senior executive recruitment company, I just would go, "Hi, it's Jeanette. I'm ringing on behalf of blah, blah, blah. What's been happening in your world? How are you coping with COVID?" And there were the first two sentences I said in my phone call. And then they would just start opening up about what was happening for them, you see. So, you could use those two sentences now.
Yes. That's right. That's very key. Okay, we need to wrap up, but
yes.
If you were to say to someone, okay, why should they come on Friday? How would you succinctly answer that question?
I will help you become the business development leader you were meant to be.
There you go. Become the business development leader you're meant to be. That's very good. Well, I'll put the link to the event underneath this, and please share this with others if you know a benefit from you. And Jeanette, so looking forward to being with you all day on Friday.
Thank you, Wes. Appreciate your help.
Okay, I'm going to stop that and